Activist Media, 910AMTALKDETROIT, broadcasting live right here in the city of Detroit, where the topics and the conversation is just too hot for regular radio. Listen, you don't need to download the app, just log on to the website. The website is compatible with all Android and iPhones. See you during the live program. Hey, what's up, y'all? This your boy Sixfoe, and I'm coming to you 2 weeks before the election. The primary election in Detroit is on August the 7th. If you get this video, you need to either register now, or if you're already registered, get involved in the process. Currently, they're telling you that your vote don't count. Let me tell you something. Because you didn't vote, Donald Trump won Michigan. 56% of us stayed home because we thought our vote didn't count. If our vote didn't count, there wouldn't be 2 columns to count votes. So, I want you to understand the importance of you being involved, especially in this primary. You need to become a VIP. Vote in the primary. Show up early. Listen, if we show up early, this thing will work wonders. You don't know how well this political system can work for you until you make up in your mind that I'm going to become a VIP. Not only am I a very important person, but I'm voting in this very important election, which is the primary. The primary, I can't stress enough how important the primary is. We have been told since we were kids that the primary is not important. But the primary is important. The primary is so important that on that day, we pick who we want to see as the front runner. If you vote Democrat, if you vote Libertarian, if you vote Republican, no matter what you are voting for or party lines, unless you show up in the primary, your candidate will not stand a chance come the November general election. Normally in November, that's when they're narrowing it down and they are going to really choose who got the most votes in the primary. Exactly. So, I want you to know this. The reason why a lot of times we think that our votes don't count is because we just got to admit it. We're not civically or politically involved in what's going on with the process except for casting a ballot. Once the average person casts their ballots, statistics have shown that that person, he or she, is not active in their community. They just cast a vote and they go back to their everyday lives. To understand how this system works, you as an individual have to get involved in your community some way, somehow, because the person or the people that you are voting for are making things either better for you and your people or worse. But how would you know that if all you do is cast a vote and then go home and go back to your regular life? It's sort of like when you go to church and you get saved and you get the right hand of fellowship. Well, what good is all of that if you're not going to practice that every day of the week? It's the same thing with politics. Politics is dirty because you don't know nothing about it. But if you knew enough about it, you will understand how these decisions that these people are making are affecting you in your everyday life, from education to socialism to economics, to how it is that you can get a job and how easy it is to get a job or how hard it is to get a job. All of that is tied up in the political system, and you have to be involved. If you have a job, you have to be involved in your union if you have a union, because that is the beginning of a political career or you knowing about how politics affects manufacturing. If you don't know how politics affect policing, how can you call racism or anything else? You're just looking at it from an outsider's perspective. White cop kills a black guy. Do you know there's a policy behind that? A policy that's backed up by someone you or someone else voted for. A lot of times, well, I'm going to say within the last 20 years, you don't need a lot of votes no more. You just need a certain amount of people not to show up to vote. And the people that you did get to show up for you will be enough to get you in. No one should be winning like in Detroit. If you run for city council, you should be able to garner at least 50,000 votes minimum to be a contender as a city council person. So in the city of Detroit, if you're popular, you should be able to get that 50,000 and then some. It will be a close race because if the other people who's running for council are popular, they're going to be up in the 50,000s too. So in a city that's roughly around 900,000 people, getting 50,000 votes should be a drop in the can. You have to understand how city council affects your day-to-day life, or if they do affect your day-to-day life, what it is that your city council people really can do for you as an individual. If you don't know that, how could you be mad about or at the things that they do if you're not involved in the process? Do you ever go down to the meetings? How often is it that you contact them on certain things? When you contact them, do you know what to contact them about? Do you know what they can and can't move for you on? And then we say voting don't work. No, a lot of times voting don't work because the community is not working to make sure that their vote counts and that their voices are being heard. If you don't know about the city council, let me explain this to you. Your Detroit City Council is your legislative body of your city. They do the ordinances and they say who can get money. They the ones who okays the contracts, which is why I'm scratching my head on them saying that Kwame Kilpatrick gave Bobby Ferguson contracts when the mayor can't give you a contract unless it's $25,000 or less without the permission or consent of the city council. Anything over $25,000, the mayor has to get even the city council to approve that contract. So I'm still trying to figure out how did Kwame give Bobby anything? If anything, someone on city council gave Bobby all of those contracts. But that's what your city council does. You got businesses who come from the outside of Detroit, painters, construction workers, construction companies. People are bidding to get money to do work in the city of Detroit that you and I or anyone else who is in this city are more than capable of doing with the proper education and the right tools as far as skilled trades go. So your city council are the ones who say, yes, Dan Gilbert, you can have all that acreage downtown for $1. They the ones who say, yes, we'll give you such and such the contract to clean the city buildings for X amount of millions of dollars. They're the ones who say, okay, we can pass an ordinance that says this, that, and the third. The ordinances are very important because those are the local city laws. This is what they say can and can't go wrong. These ordinances govern these contracts that these contractors are bidding for. These ordinances have an effect on your day-to-day life. You have to get civically involved other than just casting your ballot. You have to be involved. Get involved so you'll understand the process a bit more. There's nothing like being part of the process so you can understand it and you will be more inspired to stay and remain involved. Now, you have Sri Tanadar running for governor, Gretchen Whitmore, Bill Schuette, Abdul Saeed, and a couple other guys. Now, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm voting for Sri. If I'm able to vote that day, I have a court date coming up. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. But if I'm out, I'm voting for Sri Tanadar. I hope that you have made a well-informed decision yourself on who you're voting for, and that you're not going to vote for no one just based solely upon name recognition. This is what makes it all bullshit in the end. When we begin to take that precious right, and the best that we do is vote for a person based on their name recognition and not and not them being able to truly recognize the problems and the issues that's affecting their particular constituency. The Voters' Right Act is a bunch of crap. So as long as people are voting just because a person look good and not based on a person's true principles and true motives behind them trying to get that seat, it's all for nothing. When we say, I'm just going to sit at home and don't do nothing. When it came to Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, everyone kept saying, you have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Well, I'm going to tell you this now. When you vote for the lesser of two evils, says Dr. Clark, rest in peace, you still ride with evil. So you need to keep that in mind. We need to stop voting for people just because they've been there long, or they know someone who was in there, or they roll with someone who's in there. It's nothing like fresh meat. It's nothing like fresh blood, fresh ideas, fresh faces, fresh people. I got a lot I could say about what's going on politically here in Detroit on this particular segment, but I decided because voting is coming up August 7th, and before I leave, I need to do a video that's a testimony to what I'm about and what I want you to become about, and stop saying that voting don't count, especially if you're not making sure that you're in that process to drive that ballot all the way through. Not just your ballot is not just the vote. Your ballot is also you checking up on that person you hired to be your state rep, to be your senator, to be your governor, to be your county commissioner, to be your regent, to be your registrar of deeds. There's a lot, that we vote for, and once we vote for these people, we have to be adamant about making sure they know who you are and that they work for you. This is the only way to keep special interests out of their hands, or at least have your voice right there when special interests come along talking about, we'll pay you to do this. Nah, I got the people here with me. People put me here, and that's who I serve, and those are the type of people that you want to vote for. And that's it. I hope Tuesday, August 7th, you vote. Peace out, y'all. This is Detroit Let's Talk, Election Edition. Activist Media, 910AMTALKDETROIT. Broadcast a lot. Right here in the city of Detroit, where the topics and the conversation is just too hot for regular radio. Listen, you don't need to download the app. Just log on to the website. The website is compatible with all Android and iPhones. See you during the live program.